Hi, thank you. My name's Chris. I'm a gamer. Okay, so. Oh, all right. Well, the Webster's definition of gaming is a physical or mental activity or contest that has certain rules and that people do for fun. They define a gamer as someone who plays these games, and especially someone who plays computer or video games. But really, I think we are all gamers. By these definitions, a football player and a chess player are both gamers. And someone who plays tabletop role-playing games and someone who solves crossword puzzles are both gamers.
Now, how did I get involved in this? John mentioned that I'd done some work with murderers, and I had.
Sorry.
Texas Tower murderer.
All right, so we skipped ahead.
In retrospect, when we studied his,
all right, so have you ever had this moment when you're about to solve a crossword puzzle and you just get this really excited yes to yourself, and then you start smiling at the people around you stupidly? You're wanting to share that with them, right? You want to share your victory with them. Okay, so that's a gamer. He's actually right there. How about a musher who's alone on the Iditarod Trail for 95% of her race, right? But then, when she gets to the finish line, she's greeted by hordes of screaming fans, right? No, maybe not hordes, but a crowd of screaming fans. That's a shared experience, too. I would argue she's a gamer. And really, no matter what game you play, that's what gaming is to me. It's a shared experience, something that you do with other people. Okay, so kids do this amazing thing all the time. They will just make up a game around a very mundane task. Okay, so for example, I mentor a local student, and he loves to make up these video games around shooting, or video games. He loves to make up games around shooting hoops. He will tell me that if I make a basket from here, then I get to move on. But if I miss that basket, I can take a chance. And if I take that chance and I miss again, I have to go back and start over. But if I make my chance, not only do I get my chance back, but I get to move on to the next spot. Right? That's a game. So what's the payoff for that? Really, it's nothing. It's just the experience in it. So again, I'm sharing that experience with them. So I identify myself as a gamer. The games I play are well, Dungeons and Dragons, video games, tabletop role-playing games. So Dungeons & Dragons has this taboo to it, and I hold the taboo, but here I am in front of all of you telling you I play Dungeons & Dragons, yet I will hesitate to tell a stranger that I can't work late or I can't go out on a Friday night because I have a D&D game. All right? It's okay. Judge me. Please, call me a nerd. All right? I actually really love that term. I find it endearing. But I used to judge the people who played D&D as well, and I don't anymore since I started playing it. It's the thing that I most look forward to each week. I cannot wait for D&D night. In fact, all right, so I started playing D&D about 5 or 6 years ago when I met my friend Julia. Okay, so I had just moved back from Albuquerque, moved to Anchorage, and she had just moved to Anchorage as well. She was a military wife, and all my friends from high school, I thought, had moved away. So neither of us knew anybody. We ended up spending a lot of time together. Then all of a sudden, Julia started having all these other plans, and I had to ask her, what are you doing all the time? I'm bored, and I'm lonely. And she told me, well, I'm playing D&D. She wanted me to come with her, and reluctantly, I finally agreed. It turns out that she was playing D&D with a bunch of people I knew from high school, right? These people that I thought had moved away. In fact, this happens all the time. There were a bunch of people that I knew that played D&D, and I had no idea that they did that. And now they're some of my closest friends, right? And I would have totally missed out on those relationships had I not gone to play D&D with them. So this is when I have to ask myself, how many other amazing friendships have I missed out on because of the precognitions I have about the type of games other people play? So I still play. Obviously, I have a D&D game once a week. And now I am the GM, the game master. Right there, that's me running a game for my friends. Okay, and that just means what I do is I come up with the bad guys, I come up with the obstacles, and I craft a story to motivate the players to want to overcome them. So, wrong button. All right. As a newcomer to D&D, I have found out that there's a few things that are just like life. To have a good game, you need to have leadership. You need to have someone to lead the game, to run it. You have to have at least a small group of good friends that you trust and you want to play with. You need to have the courage to do really crazy things, even though they may not have much of a chance of actually working. And you need to be able to reinvent yourself if you're not having any fun, okay? So, leadership. The GM leads the game, all right? That's the role I play in my group, and they're all by themselves. They don't have anyone on their team. In fact, they usually fight alone. The GM has to create a world that is hostile to the characters, but you don't want them to lose. In fact, you really want them to win. The problem is if there's no conflict, then there's no fun in the game. Okay, so if you give them something that they know they can't possibly achieve, players will give up. If you give them something that's way too easy or mundane, they're going to get bored, right? It's a bored player. Thanks, guys. The trick to it is just giving them something that's just out of reach or just within reach, but not easy to achieve, okay? And then compelling them to achieve it by knowing why they want to play D&D. Perhaps they enjoy the role-playing element. They want to be someone else, okay? So in this case, you want to reward these people, these players, with having the opportunity to do this as often in the game as possible, and to reward them by giving them a description that's just as detailed as the description they gave you when they told you what they did. Perhaps you have a player that just likes making a bunch of new characters. In that case, maybe killing them all the time isn't such a bad thing. They want to make somebody, you let them continually reinvent themselves. Or maybe they just like rolling lots of dice all the time. Make sure you reward them by giving them opportunities to roll as many dice as possible, and when they have a really good roll, give them some good description of something that happens in-game because of that awesome roll. Okay, so how exactly is this all leadership? When you're talking about Dungeons & Dragons, it seems frivolous, but rethink for a minute. What about the manager in an office assigning tasks to 5 or 6 people? Not much unlike my D&D party, okay? If you don't understand why those people are there or what they enjoy about it, then you're not able to give them the rewards to keep them moving forward in the game or in the office. If you give them something that's impossible, and or something that's too mundane or boring, again, like gamers, they'll give up or they will get bored. So the saying that the work is its own reward is really only true if the work is rewarding itself. Now, don't get me wrong. There is definitely a pleasure in grinding, and this is a term that gamers use all the time. Gamers will describe grinding to define something that they have to do that's less enjoyable in order to get a more enjoyable outcome. So, for example, a gamer may just run dungeon after dungeon after dungeon after dungeon in order to level up so that he can go play with his friends. Or he may fight the same boss over and over and over again, just so that he can get that amazing treasure that is perfect for his character. So gamers will grind, but the reward has to be right. Now, I think we've all heard somebody describe work as the daily grind. And who really wants to go to a job day in and day out that's just a grind? Nobody, right? So if you know how to make their work more enjoyable, then their days won't be a grind, and you'll know how to reward them and show them your appreciation when you get there. And you can share that yes moment with them. Community. So games happen with other people, but not everybody gets along, and you should not expect everybody to play nice with everyone all the time. You will get about 5 to 6 people at a table to play D&D, and there'll be all sorts. You'll have the science fiction guru, the working parent. You may have the rules monger, that's me in the bottom. My list could go on. But not everybody belongs at the table. Gamers will do this crazy thing. It's almost like a pack of wild animals testing a new individual before they're allowed to join the group. Everybody does it, but gamers are really upfront about what's happening. Usually, we will meet away from the table, and we will play a different game together. We'll see, how does this new person fit in our group? If the group decides as a whole that they're a good fit, they can join. It's kind of like a job interview, but it happens with the entire company, the whole party. All right. So a party has to support each other. Gamers understand that if the group fails, the individuals fail. And they're not afraid to give up their own actions and to help other people in combat. They know that they're the secret to the rest of their friends being awesome, and that they can't be awesome without the rest of their friends. So, a player, for example, will only have so many actions in combat. There's only so many times you get to actually do things in game, and it is very common for people to give up those actions to help each other. For example, a player might give another player a boost so that they can jump up with their daggers blazing and attack a dragon in mid-flight. Awesome. Or a player may give up her action to help another player calm down an angry griffin instead of attacking it, so the party can have an amazing new pet. Also an awesome story, right? The gamers recognize that they have to put their own actions secondary to help for the better of the party. And that only through helping each other can they actually be as awesome as they can possibly be. Courage. So gamers have to be able to try things without any guarantee that they're going to work out. In fact, and they have to have a GM that allows them to do that. All right? I see somebody giggling. Here's an example of this. So you never know how awesome you'll be until you try. In a game that I ran recently, I had a certain character trying to gain possession of some evil artifacts, and a wizard in the party decided that she would blow those evil artifacts off the top of a tall tower so that they were out of reach. Except she made a mistake, and she also blew that character right off the top of the tower. Looking on in horror, another party looks at me and said, I jump after her. Him, sorry. And the rest of the party tries to stop her, but it's too late. She's already jumped off. The height of the tower was set, and it was already established to be a deadly drop. But it didn't matter. This was important to her. She wanted to try to save the other character. So she jumps off the tower. By some trick of the dice, she did not die immediately. In fact, she awoke on her own, looking up at the tower with the top of it out of sight. And then the rest of the characters ran down the tower to try to save her, just to find her sitting there rubbing her eyes and blinking up into the sun. So it didn't go as terrible as it could have gone, but she didn't get to do what she wanted to do either, which was save the other character. In fact, she had to have the courage to make that leap. And that's something that we all have the opportunity to do every day in our lives. All right? Whether it's go after that new job, to move out of state, or chase down a new project. It is important to have the courage to take those leaps. Now, knowing what you're capable of and knowing what the epic win or the epic fail could be makes that decision a lot easier. But sometimes you just have to jump. Roll the dice, see where they land, and hope for the best. Which means sometimes you have to be able to reinvent yourself. If a gamer's not having any fun, she might just say, you know, I wasn't rolling very well, so I'm going to buy some new dice and come back tomorrow or next week and try again. Or they may say something completely outrageous. I'm going to make a new character. So let that sink for just a minute. I'm going to make a new character. I'm not finding any fun in this anymore, so I'm going to reinvent the person I am. It makes sense, because if your character story isn't fun, then why would you want to continue playing them? Why wouldn't you want to find a character that is fun, that is awesome? But this is so natural to gamers. I'm going to say it again. I am not finding joy in this, So I am going to change who I am. It's completely internalized, right? It's not a big deal at the table, but it is such a big deal in our normal lives. I have had to learn this lesson myself recently, and I have realized that sometimes a big change is exactly what's needed. If you are not enjoying the life, the story that you were telling, perhaps it's time to reinvent yourself. I'm not saying to quit your job after one bad day, but if you're having a series of bad days and you don't like the character you're seeing, make a new character. Maybe nothing on the outside has to change. Just re-envision the role you play in the party that you interact with every day. So really, we're all gamers. This is the part I really wanted to get right. So really, we're all gamers. No matter what you play, if it's football, crossword puzzles, or Dungeons and Dragons, we are all struggling together to overcome obstacles that we've set before ourselves just because it's fun. Gamers realize that the fun is in that struggle. It's in the journey. And we know that the people that go on that journey with us are the key to being more awesome. And we are the key to them being more awesome. Gamers aren't afraid to take the leap if it's what's going to propel their story further. And they're not afraid of reinventing themselves and starting at level 1 again if that's what they need to do. So take the time to go and play some games with your friends and family tonight. Take on a challenge together. Take on a challenge together, and you might just be surprised about what you find, and you might be able to take those lessons away from your gaming table, just like I did. Thank you, guys.